I used to charge $800 per month for coaching, and in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how and when you can raise your prices to start charging what you're worth. Now, I know I'm probably not the first person to tell you to charge what you're worth. You've probably heard that from dozens of people, that you should be charging $250, $500, $750, $1,000 plus per month for your coaching program. And then you try it out. You go to raise your prices and nobody buys. Maybe before you increased your prices, you were converting 30, 40, maybe even 50% of your offers made. And then after you make your price jump, you haven't made a single sale in weeks or maybe even months. But you now refuse to lower your prices again because you've decided, or maybe you've been told that this is what you're worth, so you got to stick there. Well, I'm going to be the bringer of bad news, and I'm going to tell you something that probably nobody else ever will. You do not determine your worth. Your market does. If nobody buys, it means that you and or your program are not worth that much money, at least not right now. So what I'm actually going to do in this video here is walk you through how to accurately price your program right now and how to use your data and numbers to know if and when you should even raise your prices. So the first thing I want to talk about is some pricing psychology that will allow you to increase your conversion rates even without adjusting your price at all. So the pricing psychology concept that I want to talk about is what I call investment momentum. So investment momentum is the idea that people who pay us any amount of money, no matter how big or how small, are going to be much more likely to continue to pay us more money and ideally pay us higher amounts of money in the future as well. So this is a theory that many big businesses in many different industries across the world also use as well. For example, if we were to look at any sort of subscription service, subscription company like Netflix, Amazon, Spotify, ClickFunnels, ConvertKit, Kajabi, all those type of software companies, what they will typically offer is some sort of front-end introduction offer at like either a very low cost or even a free trial before kind of getting you hooked on the product and then getting you to pay either a higher monthly rate or even a huge annual membership down the road. In typically that conversion from introduction offer to like long-term offer happens in the first like 7 to 30 days in most cases. So how do we take that idea or that concept and take advantage of that to sell more coaching programs? So this is going to be a very controversial take, but what I suggest for most coaches is to start using or offering weekly pricing for your program and pitching that weekly price number up front rather than presenting the paid in full option or even a monthly price on the front end. Now here's why. When we present that weekly offer, that weekly price, it makes for a very easy yes to kind of enter your world because it gives your prospect the opportunity to join at the lowest now number. So I'm going to use my previous fitness business as an example here. So I used to sell a one-on-one coaching program. It was a 16-week commitment for an investment of $3,200. But $3,200 is a very, very big investment for fitness coaching. And I know that if I were to present that number at that price, $3,200 up front, it's going to cause a lot of price shock and scare a lot of people away, even if they could afford that. And I know that because I used to offer it that way. That's the way that I used to present the number, present the investment, and it got a lot of price shock from people running away that I know that they could have afforded it. So instead, what I did is I switched up the way that I presented my offer. I said, hey, it's now $200 per week to join my coaching program, right? So if we do the math on that, if we look at $200 per week, that works out to $800 per month, or it works out to over the 16-week period, it's the same $3,200, right? It's the exact same amount, just presented in a different way. We've positioned the price in a way that makes it an easier yes opportunity for new prospects to join our world, right? And it's obvious why this works so well if you think about it, right? If you were to tell somebody, hey, it's just $3,200 to get started today, versus, hey, it's only $200 to get started, which of those do you think is going to get more yes answers? The answer is pretty obviously and clearly the smaller number. And this isn't about assuming that people are dumb or that people can't do the math, right? Obviously, if anybody were to take 10 seconds and do the math on that, they would know that it's the exact same price. It's just presented in a different way, right? But the majority of people, or most people in general population anyways, they're not typically great at forecasting out or thinking long term. In most cases, they're usually just concerned at how much do I need to pay right now, right? Not the total down the road, not how much is it going to add up to in the end. How much do I need to pay right now, right? Because they can look at the bank account and be like, oh, yes, I have enough money to make this investment, right? If you say, hey, it's $3,200, they might look at their bank account and be like, oh, I've only got $2,000 in the bank right now, or I've only got $2,000 left on my credit card. I can't afford to do this, right? But if you present it, hey, it's just $200 to get started, they've got the money to do it. They've got the money to move forward right now. Maybe they're a week away from their payment, from their paycheck hitting the bank account, and in a week or two, they might have had that $4,000 or $5,000 in the bank account to be able to afford that, but right now they didn't. So right now they compare, what do I have to pay right now to what do I have to pay out of my bank account, or what do I have to put on my credit card? I can't afford this right now. But by giving them that easy yes opportunity, hey, it's just $200, right? A lot more people are going to say yes, and you're going to scare away a lot less people because you're not going to just give them that price shock on the initial investment presentation. So that is the concept, that is the idea. And it's not just online businesses or software companies that use this pricing psychology either, right? If we look at car companies, it's why they offer 72-month or 84-month financing. And they, in most cases, most car companies will also offer to break that down into weekly or bi-weekly payments as well. Because nobody, or the majority of people, can't afford to hand over $75,000 cash for a brand new car right now. But if you tell somebody they can get into a brand new car and drive home today with just $175 per week, for example, right? All the broke people who definitely should not be buying a $75,000 vehicle will happily jump in the opportunity to do so, right? Because the now number is easy for them to digest, right? So that is why I use weekly pricing. That's why the majority of my coaching clients, they use weekly pricing to sell their programs as well, right? I don't care if you do this or not. I'm just telling you what I do, what I've seen work for me, what works for my clients. You do it. You can try it out if you want to. If you want to sell more coaching programs though, and you want to increase your conversion rate, I would at least suggest giving this a try. So we've got that out of the way. Let's talk about actual numbers and figure out what you should be charging for your coaching program right now. Now, before we dig into that, the first thing I want to say is kind of a little bit of a disclaimer, is that the numbers I'm going to present here are very rough suggestions for pricing. They're going to vary a lot from industry to industry and from niche to niche within each industry as well, right? They're just kind of general guidelines that I've seen work for most coaching niches, right? So where do you start? At the bare bottom, very beginning of your coaching journey, where do you start? If you are a beginner, just brand new, just getting started, you've got zero social proof, no client results yet, you might need to start for free. You might not be able to charge anything at all yet. To be honest, just need to get some proof that your program actually works before people are willing to pay you money. So that's bare minimum. Next step is, after you get 2 to 3 clients, they're starting to get results, they're giving you success stories or case studies or testimonials, then you can probably start to charge around maybe $25 per week or $100 per month. Next step after that is like, maybe you've got like 5 amazing client success stories, results, you can probably start charging somewhere around like $50, $60, $70 per week. Then what I suggest, once you kind of reach that bare minimum threshold, you've got 5 amazing success stories, you can slowly start to increase it on a regular basis. So what I suggest is that you increase your price by about $25 per week for every additional 10 amazing success stories or client results that you get. Now, to be clear, that's not just 10 new clients you bring in, it's 10 amazing success stories of results of people that have gone through your program. They've succeeded at what you were promising to help them achieve. And to be very clear, when I say amazing results, I do not just mean somebody worked with you for a couple months, they gave you a testimonial like, John was great to work with, he was a good coach, and he helped me a lot, right? That is not an amazing success story. That's bullshit, and your prospects don't give a fuck about that at all, to be blunt. They need to see amazing results of at least equal to and ideally better or beyond whatever you're promising to help people achieve in your program, right? So if we meet those kind of guidelines there, you follow those kind of steps there, you will eventually hit a price limit, at least the current price limit that you're able to reach in your market with your current level of authority and your current level of demand that you have. Now, how do we determine when that happens? Well, we are going to use numbers and data instead of just emotionally guessing. So ideally, you should be able to convert a minimum of 20% of offers made into clients. For example, if you were to have 100 conversations with leads or prospects, and they were good fit leads, they were quality leads, you get through the conversation, you send them an offer doc, or you get them on a sales call, at least 20 of them, 20 out of those 100 people, 20% should say, yes, I am in, and they should pay you money to become a client, right? That would be that minimum 20% conversion rate. So that's the bare minimum. In my previous coaching business, I was converting between 45 to 50% of offers made depending on the month of the year. So 20% is just the bottom line, not where you should kind of max out at. Right now, in this business, I'm converting about 3 or 4 out of 10 because this is still a fairly new business and it's only about 1 year old. So I don't have a massive amount of social proof yet. I'm still working on building that up. So I went from $800 per month in my previous business. I've dropped it down significantly for this business because it is a new offer in a new space where I don't have a massive amount of social proof yet like I did in my previous business. In my previous business, I had 100 plus amazing success stories. So I was able to charge that much amount per month. And I also had huge amounts of demand and authority in that space as well. I'd been in that space for almost 7 years. I had worked with over 800 coaching clients. I had an email list of almost 12,000 people, and a lot of those people were on a wait list to join. So I could charge basically whatever I wanted for coaching at that point. But I'm not there yet in this business, so I'm charging less now, right? So you have to understand that you don't get to pick what you charge. Your market and your level of authority and your space in the market determines what you can charge, right? Now, let's talk about what happens when you're not hitting that minimum 20% benchmark. What if, say, you send out, say, 20 offers, you get one person to convert, right? That's like a 5% conversion rate. My math is right there, right? What do you do then if you're converting below that 20% benchmark? So like I said, your market determines your price more than any other factor. So you can try to charge whatever the hell you think that you're worth, but if nobody buys, then nobody buys. And your market has determined that your price is too high for you. And if they determine that, that's a you problem. It's not a them problem. So if you're converting under 20%, it means that your market has decided that you are not worth that current price at this time. It doesn't mean that you never will be, but for right now, you're not. So you have to meet people where they're at. You can't outprice the market or outprice your worth in the market if you don't have that level of social proof and authority and success stories yet, or the demand to back up the price that you're trying to offer. So here's my suggestion. If you're converting under 20% of leads into clients, keep lowering your price. I know that's going to hurt a lot of people's ego, but you got to lower your price until you are hitting that benchmark of at least 20% conversions. For now, not forever, but for now. And then as you improve your content, you get better at marketing. As you work with more clients, you earn more success stories and testimonials. You build up more social proof. You build up your audience. You get better at generating leads and filling your program. Your demand is going to increase as well, meaning that when your demand is high, it means that you have more people that want to join you than you have available spaces in your program. So when that happens, you can start to increase and charge higher prices because you have earned it. And because you have demonstrated your authority and you built up your brand and respect in the market, you have now earned the right to charge those higher prices. So if you have dropped your prices to increase conversions, when do you start then to increase your price again? Very simple. We look at the numbers, we look at the data. So as your conversion rate starts to increase, you can increase your prices. If you say you drop down to 20% conversion rates, or you drop your price to get to 20% conversion rates, then as you improve your marketing, your authority over time, you get back up to like 50% conversions, right? If you're hitting that 50% benchmark of conversions, you should be safe to increase your price by at least $25 to $50 per week without having your conversions drop below those 20%. Right? Again, it's sort of a trial and error process. You can bump it up, see how it works, right? Then it's just kind of a game of using your data to determine when and how much you should increase your prices. As demand increases, you increase prices. That's going to, as a default, drop your conversion rates for a little while. Demand will start to build up again. You can increase your prices again, and then you can raise your prices after that, up and up and up and up, and just kind of playing that game up and down as your prices increase, conversion drops, you increase in conversion rates, you increase prices, and you just kind of play that game, right? So we use numbers and data to know if and when we should be following that guideline. Now, again, eventually you are going to hit a cap, a market cap, where you are trying to outprice what the market as a whole determines is worth paying for whatever you're offering, whatever sort of service or coaching program you're offering. There's going to be a cap. There's not an infinite number to this in any market or any niche. There's going to be a cap. So you'll know when you hit the cap when maybe you were at like 50% conversion rates. So you said, hey, it's time to increase my price. And then you go to increase your price and you drop to like 0% conversion rate, right? You send out maybe 20, 25, 30 offers and you're just converting nobody, right? That means that you probably went too far with your price. You hit the market cap or you went beyond the market cap and you've got to drop it back down, right? So that's it. That's the process. Don't get emotional about it. Watch your numbers, use your data, and understand that the market determines your prices, not your own self-proclaimed value or worth. And don't try to rush it either. It took me 5 years before I was able to charge $800 per month in my previous business. And up until that point, for probably the first 3.5, 4 years, I was under $250, $300 per month for the first 3.5, 4 years. So be patient with it, right? It's going to take time to charge those really, really high ticket prices, and you can't outprice the market. You have to charge what your market or your niche is determining you are worth. So just be patient with it and focus on getting better yourself. Focus on providing a better service and experience for your coaching clients. And eventually, over time, you will be able to charge whatever you want, whatever you think that you are worth. Now, if you want to see a breakdown of how this pricing model fits into the big picture of building a system that can scale your coaching business to 250K plus per year, you can check out this video right here.